Days of Our Lives spoiled to May 2nd, 2025. Marlena spirals into madness after the ICE declares John dead. Her desperate search for his body begins in the emotional and heart-wrenching episodes of Days of Our Lives, airing from April 28th through May 2nd, 2025. Viewers will witness Marlena Evans facing the darkest and most devastating moment of her life. The woman who has been through every imaginable trauma is about to face a nightmare she never thought she would have to endure: the death of her beloved husband, John Black. For weeks, Marlena Evans, played with heartbreaking depth by Deidre Hall, has been clinging to hope. Hope that somehow, somewhere, John Black, Drake Hodgson, was still alive. That despite all the danger, despite all the uncertainty, he would find his way back to her as he always had before. Together with Stephen Nichols, Marlena had gone to the ends of the earth, even traveling all the way to Estonia. Following every lead, chasing every whisper. But all they found was disappointment. And the treacherous Orpheus, George Del Hoyo, who gave them no real answers. When Marlena and Steve returned to Salem empty-handed, Marlena's heart was already cracking. She could still feel John's presence, a deep, unexplainable connection that told her he was somewhere out there, waiting for her, needing her. But feelings are not evidence, and the ISA made it clear that they were no longer chasing hope. They had reached a terrible conclusion. John Black, their legendary operative, had died in the line of duty. When the ISA officials sat Marlena down and delivered the official word, it felt like the earth itself had crumbled underneath her feet. John was dead. No body recovered. No final goodbye. Just gone. Marlena didn't just cry. She collapsed. Her soul shattered into a million jagged pieces. Her wails of grief echoed down the sterile hallways of the ISA building. She clawed at the officials, begging them, pleading with them to keep looking, to not give up, to not tell her that the love of her life was reduced to a mere casualty report. But their faces were stone, their decision final. From that moment on, Marlena Evans was no longer the composed, dignified psychiatrist that Salem knew and loved. She became a woman possessed, a mother, a wife, consumed by overwhelming sorrow and blinding panic. Marlena wouldn't accept that John was dead without proof, without seeing him, without finding his body. Driven to the brink of madness, Marlena began a frantic, desperate search to recover John's remains. She haunted ISA offices, demanding access to every file, every last report. She called old contacts, chased rumors, followed any whisper, no matter how implausible. Sleep became a stranger to her. Grief hollowed her out, leaving behind a woman who was little more than a shell, surviving only on the sheer force of her love and desperation. Steve Johnson, heartbroken for his friend, tried to be there for Marlena. But even he could see that Marlena was slipping further away from reason with each passing hour. She wasn't just mourning. She was unraveling. Salem had never seen Marlena like this, and it was terrifying. Her family rallied around her. Belle, Brady, Eric, even Roman. They tried to comfort her, to ease her pain. But nothing reached her. Marlena's mind was trapped in a single, agonizing loop. Find John. Find John. Find John. The sight of Marlena, usually so graceful and controlled, now disheveled, wild-eyed, barely coherent, sobbing in the streets of Salem as she searched for any sign of John. It was almost too much to bear. Even the residents who had only known her in passing were moved to tears at her visible, unrelenting suffering. Everywhere she looked, she imagined seeing him. In the shadows, at the docks, across a crowded street. Only to rush forward and find a stranger. Each false sighting cut deeper into her already broken heart. She began to hallucinate, hearing John's voice, feeling his touch, smelling his familiar cologne on the wind. And yet, Marlena refused to stop. The funeral preparations began without a body. It was what the ISA called a memorial service, an empty gesture meant to provide closure. But there could be no closure for Marlena. Not without John. Not without holding his hand one last time, not without looking into his eyes and telling him how deeply, how fiercely she had loved him even to the end. As mourners gathered, offering flowers and tearful condolences, Marlena stood apart, a figure of unbearable sorrow and quiet madness. She wasn't saying goodbye. She wasn't letting go. She was still searching. And somewhere deep in her heart, a small, stubborn ember of hope still burned. Maybe the ISA was wrong. Maybe John was alive, fighting to come back to her. Maybe. In the coming days, Marlena's frantic search will lead her down dangerous paths into shadows where the living dare not tread. She will not stop until she finds the truth, even if it costs her everything. Days of Our Lives, the Hernandez siblings' downfall, love, betrayal, and crushing defeat. The coming week on Days of Our Lives will be anything but peaceful for the Hernandez siblings, Rafe and Gabby. Their lives, once seemingly on a path to stability, are once again spiraling into chaos. In just a few short days, they each face loss, betrayal, and bitter truths that no one could have foreseen. An irreparable break. Jada and Rafe officially split. The fateful conversation between Jada and Sean at the hospital marks the beginning of the end. As they discuss the mysterious shooting, suspicion falls heavily on Ava. Sean quickly heads out to confront EJ at the hospital while Jada, burdened with a heavy heart, stays behind to wait for Rafe. When Rafe walks in, the atmosphere immediately turns heavy. There are no warm glances, no fleeting smiles. They sit down and Jada wastes no time. "I don't think we have a relationship anymore," she says, her voice hoarse with emotion but firm. Rafe tries to hold on, admitting that too much has happened between them. He still loves her, still wants to fight for their relationship. But Jada, her heart already hardened, simply shakes her head. "We had good times, Rafe. But once trust is broken, there's no way to repair it." Jada reminds him of wounds that existed long before the situation with EJ. Her taking over his old job had not just changed his career, but had shaken the fragile foundation of their bond. They still love each other, but love alone is not enough. With no other choice, Rafe agrees to let go. He tells Jada that she will always have a special place in his heart, but both of them need time apart to heal their wounds. He reveals a major decision. Rafe is leaving Black Patch. A call from his former boss offered him a remote position, an offer he plans to accept immediately. In the end, Jada and Rafe share one last embrace, a sad, regretful hug filled with bittersweet closure. As Rafe walks out the door, they both know a major chapter of their lives has closed forever. Gabby desperately seeks a way out and faces brutal rejection. Meanwhile, Gabby is battling her own storm. In her office at Titan, she furiously yells over the phone at Javi, enraged that Xander has once again stabbed her in the back. Unable to control her anger, she hurls the Titan employee handbook across the room, accidentally hitting Brady Black as he walks in. Brady, all too familiar with Gabby's outbursts, simply winces but says nothing. Instead of chastising her, Brady attempts to calm the situation. But Gabby, a ticking time bomb, screams even louder, unleashing all her bottled-up frustration and bitterness on the only person brave enough to approach her. After exhausting herself with rage, Gabby finally listens to Brady's suggestion. A possible collaboration between Gabby Chic and Basic Black. A flicker of hope ignites in her tear-filled eyes. If the plan succeeds, she could buy back the rights to Gabby Chic from Titan. Brady promises he could help persuade Xander and Philip to agree, since Titan didn't need two competing fashion brands. Gabby, ever ambitious and sharp, immediately latches onto the opportunity. She pleads with Brady, "You're the only one who can make them listen. Your family." But Brady, his face colder than Gabby has ever seen, crushes her hopes with a single brutal response. "Why should I go out of my way to help you?" He reminds Gabby of the dark past, how she and Stefan betrayed his trust to win custody of Rachel. For Brady, that betrayal left a scar that has never healed. "I've got too much going on with my family," he says flatly. "You're on your own." Gabby stands frozen. She never imagined that Brady, someone she thought she could sway with reason or emotion, would turn her down so decisively. Abandoned by the world, Gabby once again finds herself in utter despair. A new chapter of tragedy unfolds. As the lights dim, Days of Our Lives fans will witness the Hernandez siblings, each on their own path, forced to face losses they cannot undo. Rafe, a man who always believed in honor and love, must now give up both his career and his heart. Gabby, once a proud woman wielding power and passion, is shoved into darkness with no one left to rescue her. But for Rafe and Gabby, the question is not how will they survive. The real question is, will they ever rise again? When everything collapses, when love turns to ashes and trust is shattered, only sheer resilience can define who they truly are. And for Gabby, a fighter who has never known how to surrender, she may fall today, but who knows just how powerful her comeback might be tomorrow.